The red lights are going to come on. We're about to go racing for the second time here in the Age of Talent Cup. What will it be? Will it be a great start from Matsuyama once again? It seems so, but it looks like an even better start for Nishimura. He means business from the get-go here in Motegi. The fight back begins for Nishimura for this 2019 series. Who's going to get the whole shot, though? It's your race one winner, Matsuyama, who takes it into turn one. Who is following them, though? I couldn't quite see the number. It's number 13. That's Asman, your podium finisher from yesterday. We're all safely through down from turn one, weaving all the way down towards turn 3 and 4 already.
Yeah, that was impressive stuff from Matsuyama to stay brave, even though it was Nishimura who really doesn't need to be careful at all with his key rival in this race. He just needs to win it. So good stuff from Matsuyama, but also Nishimura. Solid start, certainly a little better than yesterday. But this is almost as you were from yesterday's race, despite the conditions being very different today. Have to see if Nishimura can just keep himself a little bit closer to these two in the initial laps.
Super start from Herjan Firdaus, the man who lined up third on the grid. He's in fourth position, just behind Nishimura there, but Asman can't take anything away from him. That was a superb start, but it looks like we've got a quartet already. Some guys on the chase already. I'm so surprised, Fran, that we've got everyone keeping it upright so far, to be honest, and no jump starts confirmed by our live timing screens as well. Is this going to be a move from Asman? And not this time around. This is the tight left-hander before we start another long drag up towards another sort of hairpin double apex corner, and it's another massive straight for these guys as they then get into one of the main braking zones down to 90-degree corner. Who's that, number 18? That is Harrison Voigt, I think, making some big moves up the inside there. He had a great race yesterday, finishing up in 9th place, mixing it with the leaders. Now it's all about the run down to the 90-degree corner. Any overtaking moves this time around?
I don't think we're going to quite get it. Maybe Asman has another look, but no, he's again content to stay in second at the moment, and that is what's been pretty impressive about him this season. You can see his progress, and he's still just able to kind of relax a little bit, even though he's in this position, and it's only a few rounds that he's really been up at the sharp end fighting for the podium. So it's good to see no crazy rash maneuvers from him at all, just content to sit there in second at the moment. But you can see these three then made a little bit of a breakaway, and yesterday Nishimura was not able to do this at this stage in the race.
Yeah, Asman has definitely learned from his previous mistakes. We all remember that last corner clash with Nishimura and the likes in the final corner of the second race in Sepang last time around. Clearly learned from that one. Has Asman, the Malaysian. He's moving up the inside of Matsuyama now, but no, Matsuyama super strong on the brakes there. And the number 14, that is Shoki Igarashi. He was making some moves there as well. Look at number 4, Ifritza Munandar. Keeping our eyes on him. He started 5th on the grid, but has been pushed back so far quite some way. Down in 10th at the moment, tapping his rear seat unit, saying, come on, sunshine, let's get going and chase this leading group.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see then how Munandar will be able to move back through a little bit.
Oh, there's a touch of the wheels
That
then.
was close. Good to see everyone staying upright after that, but that's pretty much exactly what Nishimura did yesterday, but the consequences, sadly, were him sliding out of contention. So it looks like we've got Asman in the lead then. He's taken over from Matsuyama in the early stages. But yeah, it's a few names not where you'd quite expect them to be. Putra as well, although he's made it further than yesterday, still down outside the top 10. And Mananda and Boisri, certainly you would expect a little more from them at the moment.
That was Shota Kiyuchi, the wildcard rider who touched the rear wheel. We got a big crash in the background there. Massive high side coming out. I don't know if there was more than one rider involved in that one. I'm sure we'll get a replay and find out who it was there. But that was absolutely enormous. Looks like it could have been Mutakim. He's the one moving down the order now.
Yeah, that was pretty dramatic there. If you could just spot it in the back of your screens, really hope that the rider, if it is Mutakim, I hope the rider is okay. And it looks like Matsuyama again looking for the lead, but no, not at the moment. Just content to sit behind Asman. But hopefully we'll get an update then on that crash and maybe a replay to see exactly what happened.
Yeah, well, 14 laps to go. Coming around into this final sector again, though. So Mutakim being stretchered away then. It was him, unfortunately. Hope everything's all right with the Indonesian rider. He'll be okay, because well, at the very least, that is going to give you a big winding, because wow, that was a big old crash.
Yeah, it looked pretty dramatic and pretty high, didn't it? Even just from the distance shot that we saw of it. So yeah, best wishes to him. Hope that he's okay. I think he'll be taken to the medical centre at the very least for a checkup, and we'll have to try and bring you an update on that So at the moment then, back at the front is as you were from a couple of laps ago, with Matsuyama back in the lead then. But these guys on the chase really have closed that gap, and it was daylight before, and now they're very much on the scene, and I'm sure next slipstream opportunity around, they will be right there.
Those are your danger men at the moment, though, for this leading group. Kyuchi and Igarashi, these guys, nothing to lose, especially Kyuchi. He's got everything to gain from being a wild card here if he gets a great result. Igarashi, though, he's on the chase. He had a good result yesterday, 5th place, but he'll want better than that today. He can see the podium in front of him. That's exactly what he'll be going for.
Yeah, exactly. Wildcard performers, you're usually there for one of two reasons. Either you're in the shop window trying to show what you can do, or you're there putting in the track time for a manufacturer and testing stuff out, like Sylvain Gintoli, for example, this weekend. But all the same bike, all Hondas in this field. So for Kyuchi, it's all about just making his name and putting in the best performance he can. And so far, that's very, very impressive to see him right up at the sharp end at the moment.
Very impressive, because him and Igarashi have made their way chasing up the leading group once again. So we now have a proper leading group, no real breakaways at all, and we've seen Nishimura go up the inside of Matsuyama. He now occupies 2nd place, chasing down Asman now. Now this sort of corner was throwing up all sorts of action yesterday. Everybody pulling way over to our left, their right, and it's Igarashi there doing the most as he's moving up the inside of Matsuyama. Is he going up the inside of him? No, he's not. He's going to slam on the brakes a little bit more, I think, otherwise there's going to be a bit of a collision there.
Yeah, Matsuyama's so solid through there as well. Just, yeah, wasn't going to be punted out of that 3rd place at all. Just stronger on the brakes and a really good exit as well. Got really close to Nishimura. And now you can see as well, great drive out the final corner, which is just what he had yesterday as well, to escape the slipstream and get to the flag first. But Nishimura then attacking for the lead. I have to see if he can keep it. Looks yes, but all a little bit wide around there.
Yeah, well, it's a bit of a variation in line, isn't it? Because you have to go a little bit wide to switch it back onto turn 2. There's a bug on the camera there, poor thing's probably met its demise, met its maker, but then they pull out of the slipstream, coming down into turn 3. Matsuyama takes back that 2nd position from Nishimura. These are the chasers then, leading them. It looks like Boisri, but he's going to get overtaken there. Who was that? That was Voigt, the number 18, overtaking Boisri. Number 10 of Feardaus in this battle as well. Although they just, how do they do it, Fran? It's just pulling and pulling away and then getting back into the group again, every sort of sector almost. Yeah,
it's a real concertina effect. I think I wrote that in the press release yesterday. It's genuinely corner by corner it can change, and visually as well, not just by like a half a tenth or something. You can really see the difference where one group will maybe not have had too many moves for a few corners and they'll suddenly close in, and then some slightly crazy shenanigans will crack off at an apex and then they'll lose a bit of ground again. But at the moment it looks like we're in for a pretty good group to battle in this race. No one seems to be able to pull away, and we've had a few people join this fight at the front.
Taking advantage of a mistake then by Igarashi, but that too has actually let the guys behind them, your Boisris, Voigt and Feardaus, catch up to them at this moment. But what about this straight coming up? This is the longest straight that we have here at Motegi. Plenty of opportunity for slipstream. Matsuyama doing all sorts of head bobbing. Don't know what he was quite looking at there. And is it, Fran, as we just keeping a close eye on them as they're breaking down to this one, we were speaking to some of the staff in the Asia Talent Cup. Matsuyama talked a bit more about his injury, because seemingly so, every twist of the throttle is just pain for him, and I think we saw someone go straight on there into the gravel. Yes, we did, but they kept it upright.
I was going to say, is it Nishimura? Because that would be dramatic, but it's not. The number 3 is
looks
still
like
in that lead group. Yeah, it looks. Feardaus, I think, is the name who has tumbled down the timing tower a little bit. But yeah, I think Matsuyama, it can't really be overstated. He is in pain in this race. That wrist is the one he's using all the time, around every single centimetre of the track, to try and take another win today. And it's incredibly impressive what he's managing to do. And still in the leading group and everything, not riding for points at all. He's still very much riding for the win. But yeah, apparently very stoic in the face of the injury, but incredible scenes. You could see some of the emotion from him yesterday as well.
Not just the emotion, but the pain from his face.
Yes,
when it's the elation lifts, the adrenaline starts to subside, and just you watched it overcome his face. The squinting as we're looking at Boisri coming up the inside, and Nishimura, old sparring partner, already got a win so far this season as Boisri, so a real contender in this one. Just missed out yesterday though. Where did he finish? He finished in 4th place, just off the podium.
Just so close though. But yeah, Boisri, I'm sure, will be really intending to do everything he can to try and get on the rostrum today, because like you said, he is a winner. He is a winner already this season. That was at his home track in Buriram earlier in the year on that first visit to Chang International Circuit. So I have to keep an eye on him. Definitely a name that could challenge a little bit of a wider line.
He has a big twitch there, and that really affected Matsuyama as well and brought this group right back up into the full mix. Absolutely no direct order now. Igarashi going up the inside, potentially Nishimura, no. Matsuyama just keeping hold of that third place for now. But that was a big moment, a big warning sign, not just for him, for the other riders as well.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm sure everyone's heart just leapt a little bit, as ours did in the commentary box. You almost made me jump more than the moment. But yeah, so Asman then, and you can see again, it looked like if this was MotoGP, for example, that gap would have been fairly significant for Asman to start maybe pulling the pin and trying to pull away. But very, very quickly, they've all pulled it together and they're back on his tail. But yeah, certainly something to think about when even in these dry conditions, you're getting a few little twitches throughout the field.
Well, we're coming across the line now on this long drag on the home straight there. 10 laps to go this time around. Asman leads, but is he going to receive a challenge into the first turn? No, he's not from the tyre rider this time around. Matsuyama, though, just seemingly would touch wood, so I don't give him a commentator's curse. Looking cool, calm and collected, despite that moment that nearly affected his race as well. And just goes to show how things can change in the blink of an eye. As Nishimura found out yesterday, Igarashi's finding it out as well. Brasserie has moved into the lead now from Asman.
Yeah, I hate to break it to you, but this is veneer, not wood, so we'll hope to see no more dramas. You can see here then the number 5 just bit of an out of the seat moment, but no harm done too much, and as you can see now, already attacking to take the lead. So obviously managed to collect himself, gather himself together, deep breath, and carry on with the race. But it's a good leading group we've got at the moment. You can see it's all the way down to, I think it's Harrison Voigt, the number 18, just at the back of this group. So good stuff from all of them so far, and you can see they've really started to pull away now from the likes of Rulston and Monanda. Crucially, right down in that second group, I think. Yeah,
not making any sort of inroads on this leading group is Monanda, and that is really crucial for the championship for the Indonesian rider. Very crucial as well, it seems as though Sho Nishimura has got a tow rope launched onto the back of Matsuyama's machine, following him every single place that he goes. If Matsuyama moves up a place, Nishimura is going to try and do exactly the same thing. You watch now, Matsuyama's up the inside of the number 13. Watch how Nishimura responds down to this corner, or will he? He can't afford to let anybody get away here, but Monanda, yeah, that's a real disappointment for him. You can see him in the background of your picture there, leading that second group. Yeah, you can. So it's a pretty expensive race for him so far, unless something dramatic happens or they're really able to pull the pin and close this gap. We still have 10 laps to go, so all is not lost. You can see just a movement again on your time screen on the left, and that was Putre. He's also well out of this race for the podium, so a pretty expensive day, or weekend rather, for Putre. But yeah, this battle at the front is good stuff at the moment, and they're not too crazy. So they're keeping that pace up and able to just keep that gap, and you can see it's 3 seconds, and even in the Asia Talent Cup, that is a fair distance to manage to pull back. Matsuyama moves up into second place now. We're keeping an eye on Monanda. That's the number 24 is going out the inside of. That was Hamada, who had a great race yesterday. Unfortunately, he hasn't managed to stick with the leading group this time around, but he's trying to help him. Monanda gesticulating to him, saying, hey, we need to catch these guys, and he really does. Yeah, most definitely. But I mean, maybe some of those guys, they don't think they can catch those guys, and they're not really interested in Monanda's they all think they can win this.
Well, that's true.
But
they probably do. Even if you're at the back and having an awful day, you never know what can happen in this class more than any other. Nishimura up the inside of Asman, then the number 13 makes way, and it's exactly as I said. Thank goodness I've been proved right for once in my commentary career. Nishimura latches the tow rope back onto Matsuyama, and he's following him wherever he goes in this race, and it's following a little bit of the same trend as back in Thailand, Fran. The first race was a little bit mental, far too many wild manoeuvres going on all race long, as we saw yesterday. This one, far more calm and collected, still close racing, but a lot calmer, and which is better for us. Yeah, most definitely. The excitement comes from the possibility of what's going to happen and how the race is going to end, rather than wondering what's going to happen in a slightly more dramatic manner, and will they all make it to the end? So far, really quality close racing, like you said. Nothing too over the line or too aggressive. But yeah, Nishimura, it's pretty interesting how he is so glued to his key competitor. You kind of understand it if they were the other way round in the standings, but as it stands, it's Matsuyama who has that advantage. So Nishimura really needs to be concentrating on being far, far ahead of the number 11 to try and pull that gap back in.
Well, he's doing a good job of it at the moment. Coming into this final sector to complete this lap, he's ahead of him at the moment. He's got Igarashi ahead of him and Boisri in the lead, of course. Igarashi was the fastest man that time around, last time by a good couple of tenths, actually. Boisri just looks at his pit board as they come by. Is Igarashi going to pull out the slipstream, overtaken down into turn 1? Not this time. Matsuyama just taking a peek up the inside of Nishimura. Not through this time around, though.
Yeah, it's incredible. You can see the difference in lap time for a group who all kind of set off from the line and arrived at the line at a similar point. It's really amazing how much difference it can make depending on what happens during the lap, whether you're attacked or whether you have to, you know, attack the guy in front of you, what moves they're making, and that just shows how quickly those gaps can go up or down, because there's just, yeah, quite a big difference between the fastest lap in that group and the slowest.
Fran, we're looking at halfway through this race now as Nishimura makes his move for the lead, and he does it superbly. A double overtake there into turn 5. Absolutely excellent stuff, but Boisri ain't letting him have it just yet. Up into turn 6, he moves up the inside once again. We're now into the fast and flowing part of the circuit, and what I was going to say was, aside from Boisri, this has been a disastrous race for all your championship contenders other than Matsuyama and Nishimura. Where is Munandar? Where is Putra? Where is Thongnopakun? The only other guys who mathematically can win the championship from this stage. They're all in the second group.
Yeah, they really are. So they're a good 4.5 seconds now behind the last bike in this front group. So I'd say that's pretty much dream over in terms of maybe the cup itself, certainly in this race. So yeah, difficult day at the office for them, and I'm sure the frustration under the helmet must be pretty high. But yeah, so we've got Munandar, Firdaus, Thongnopakun, Putra, all names that you'd expect to be further up, and for some of them it's a pretty vital day.
And just looking at their lap times as well, Firdaus is the man leading that group, and last time around he was the only one pretty much in that one, apart from Thongnopakun and Putra, who set a 2:03, but they're setting similar lap times, only maybe a tenth quicker than this leading group, which is not enough at this stage if they want to reel them in.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit frustrating, I'm sure, to see they've got similar race pace now, but they've already lost just too much ground to be able to make that up, unless they really have got a good few tenths in their pocket to start to reel them in, because we have 7 laps to go, and yeah, more than 4 seconds, that's just too big an ask.
Yeah, very much so at the moment, unless something absolutely disastrous happened to this leading group, which fingers crossed it absolutely does not. Boisri, though, just holding firm in this leading position at the moment. And Igarashi, this is looking like the most mature ride we've seen from him yet. He now takes the lead down into turn 3 and 4, so which is really great to see, apart from of course the fact that you've got to win the Age of Talent Cup, and then you manage to get potentially can get a ride in the Moto3 Junior World Championship with the junior talent team and whatnot. But the main thing about this is learning from your mistakes, learning about riding and racing, and that is exactly what Igarashi is showing us on display at the moment.
Yeah, most definitely. It seems like he's come back a little bit of a different man to this weekend in his home race, so really good stuff from him. But Boisri, again, you said he looked really intent to lead, and he's back in the lead of this race once again. He seemed quite similar at Buriram. He was pretty solid, leading quite a good few laps, and just doesn't seem to get bothered by the pressure at all of being out front.
This is that chasing group then, led by Firdaus and Munandar. You got Hamada behind them with Thongnopakun in chase as well. As we mentioned, though, just way too far off the pace, these guys. They're running pretty much the same pace, which is just not good enough if they're going to want to catch them. But they are doing everything they can, these leaders, Firdaus and Munandar, to try and chase them down. But it's just almost not a wasted effort, that's for sure. But it's not good news for them, or what we're about to see here. Move from Hamada up the inside of Thongnopakun. I think that is the number 6, the tall tie rider that we have on the grid here. He won't have appreciated that one. and that's certainly not going to help them
Good
in their
spot
charge.
to pull his knee in there and be aware of what was coming, because you may not have expected it certainly that late. So yeah, it's all getting a little bit feisty then in that second group, and that again will be costing them a little bit more time. But here at the front runners then, we still have a good group squabble for the podium, but it does look like there's a little bit more effort now being needed with the likes of Harrison Voigt just at the back to try and stay in touch with this these guys.
There is a yellow helmet in chase of Nishimura, but it's not of Matsuyama. It is of the wildcard Shota Kiyuchi, who is chasing him down after that moment earlier. I think he touched the back wheel of somebody, really regrouped and really showing us what he's got in this wildcard performance from him. You can guarantee, pretty much you would hope, well, he's hoping, that's for sure, is guaranteeing a spot on the ATC grid next year full time, but that remains to be seen. But it's still Brasri leading and really in charge of this race. He knows exactly what he's doing. Nishimura, though, he knows what he's doing as well, up the inside of Igarashi down at turn 5.
Yeah, nicely done. What are we going to get on the replay this time then? Looks like a bit of slow-mo. See Brasri foot off the peg there, braking. The Leon Haslam style that I'm sure all of these ATC kids really pay a lot of attention to.
Yeah, thinking more of the British Talent Cup there.
But yeah, it's great shots, isn't it? You can see all of them heading through there. And Harrison Voigt still in touch with this group then. He's managed to regroup a little. He was a couple of tenths off before. And now we have Nishimura then in the lead of this race, and with a couple of bike lengths.
Yeah, well, that shows just how quickly it can all change. You mentioned it earlier. It could change sector by sector, corner by corner in the Asia Talent Cup. But I imagine he's going to get reeled in down this one unless he got some monstrous drive out of that turn there. Brasri trying to lock into that slipstream on the run down towards the 90-degree corner. Will he be able to get close enough to make any sort of overtakes? Igarashi, he's going to make any overtake no matter how far back he is. But they've now caught him back up, have they, with Nishimura. So all that advantage he built up, all lost in one singular straight here.
Yeah, like you were saying, it's the characteristics of this Twin Ring Motegi circuit. It's very, very, very hard to break away unless you have some sort of drama behind you and then really pull the pin. But at the moment then, Nishimura impressive at the front of this race, just like nice and relaxed to move through to the front, showing a little bit of authority of his earlier season form. You can see there the move on Brasri to take over as the race leader. But yeah, it's interesting stuff with Matsuyama a little bit further back in this group now as it stands, but that's nothing to worry about as long as they're all still pretty close together, because like we said, you see quite often in these kind of group races, tactics can be to just wait it out and not do anything too crazy and then start making your moves later in the race.
I think this is exactly what we saw yesterday, Fran. Matsuyama just keeping a cool head, watching the action and the chaos ensue in front of him, letting everybody else muck everybody else up. And we saw yesterday, just all of a sudden, he made his way back through and he was in the lead again. He was in second place again. And you didn't really even notice. And just like there, although you will notice that one, I'll tell you who will definitely notice that one. I think that was the number 18, no, it was 13. That was Asman who definitely noticed that one, because he got properly buffed out the way, didn't he?
Yeah, so maybe all of our words about calm and collected close racing so far, I expect it's going to get a little bit crazier from here on out. We've got 5 to go, and certainly in the last 3, 2 and final lap, it's going to go
that's
off
Voigt going off the track. Bit of dirt tracker for him, but he's managed to catch right back onto the group. That's impressive. I don't know how he really didn't manage to lose much time on them that
was
time.
nicely done. You can see again, and just readjusting on the seat. He did that yesterday as well. Seems to really move quite extravagantly, does the Aussie. But yeah, nicely done to collect that back up and try and tag back onto the back of the group. But it does seem like it's just a little bit harder for him to try and keep the pace of these guys, and he'll have to be careful no more errors like that, because at the moment, of course, with that big group ahead of him, when there is a slipstream, he's getting a really big hole punched in the air right ahead of him, which will help him to tag onto the back a little bit more than if it was just a single bike in front of him. But yeah, I'm sure as well he'll have to heed that warning a little bit and maybe calm it down.
That was a really cutting move there from Brasri, making a move at the inside of Nishimura for the lead once again, and he's so good in the final sector. He managed to pull out a couple of bike lengths there, which is super crucial. And here's an example of exactly how much a drive out of the final corner can affect your potential result come the finish line. Look at Matsuyama up the inside. inside of Nishimura as well as Igarashi. He backs out of it though. I think he was forced to, otherwise they were going to collide in that first turn. This chasing group though, how far off the lead are they at the moment? Oh, they're just way far gone. Absolutely forget about it, boys. No chance of that being reeled in over the next 4 laps or so. But here is the action ensuing with them. I think this is going to be devastating for Munandar as a championship bid as we go into near the final round of the season, round 6 of the Age of Talent Cup. Looking at the leading group again, Voigt is being spat out the back a bit more, helped by that mistake, I'm sure. And Nishimura versus Matsuyama, it's all happening in that final podium spot.
Yeah, it is. You can see then Boisri back in charge in this lead group of 6, if I am able to count. Yes, I believe I am. And like you said, Voigt then just struggling a little bit to stay with these guys, but nevertheless, 7th place, really solid job from the Australian. And it's always better to take that 7th place and those points and learn those lessons rather than throw it down the road trying to stick with them if he just doesn't have the pace today. But you can see then, last time around, Matsuyama was the fastest man in that group, but with all the moves that have been made, again, that's more a sign of the chaos that's going on in the group rather than anyone necessarily having an awful lot more speed than anyone else. You can see again pretty close there to Nishimura, just ahead of him. But these guys then, it's anyone's game, I think, with 4 laps to go.
Yeah, it really is, and this is going to be one of the prime overtaking spots in the final lap, of course, when we cross the line next time around. 3 laps to go, and who's going up the inside this time? Nishimura up the inside of Igarashi, but he's not going to do the double overtake on Boisri. Boisri made that move 1 lap ago, still maintains the lead thereabouts in that one. And Igarashi, super impressive ride from him. He's made maybe one slightly more than clear-cut move, we should say, to put it politely, but this is far more mature ride than we've seen from him in previous occasions. Boisri, I don't think you need to look at your pit board, Sunshine. You can hear them, you can look around, they're all behind you. It's anyone's game, as we mentioned. 3 laps to go, and Nishimura look at the inside once again.
Yeah, most definitely. I like how you've seemingly now forgiven Shoki Igarashi for his final corner antics at Burnout.
Gone a bit wide
there. We saw Boisri do that yesterday as well, and just overcook it there and head out over the rumble strips. And yeah, he loses how many positions? 3, now down in 4th. So yeah, it's any small mistake can really give you a bit of a mountain to climb. 3 laps to go, it's not too bad, but if you end up doing that on the final lap, it can be pretty costly because you're going to run out of braking zones to try and make those positions back up.
And I think that was another example of just how clever Matsuyama was. He didn't really have to make many overtaking moves himself. Everyone else let him through for him, basically. But Nishimura's up the inside that time around at turn 5. And this fast and flowing section here, this is one of the times where you've got to build up so much speed. We've seen some overtaking moves in all of these corners here, but I guess the key overtaking spot is the tight left-hander before the short little squirt up to the near enough hairpin before that long straight once again.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see what Matsuyama can do now. He looks to be getting ready to make a move, and we saw yesterday he was super strong going back onto the start-finish straight and was, completely unthreatened by the slipstream of the guys behind them on the drag to the line. But at the moment then, looks like he's decided maybe now's the time to start making a move, and he's going to go past... Yeah, he's going past Igarashi then for the race lead. We've not really seen him so determinedly taking the lead yet in this race since he obviously got the whole shot from pole. So this could be an interesting move. Maybe he thinks he does have a chance to just break away a little bit.
We've got the graphics on our screen there showing the gap between the leading group and the second one. Well, the sort of the breakaway part. But they're the other championship contenders, their race is just well and truly gone, I reiterate. So we're in the final sector then. Before we head on and cross the line to begin the penultimate lap of this second Asia Talent Cup race, then Matsuyama in charge then. And I really think, Fran, just most of this race, just been watching everybody, seeing what they're about, seeing where they're strong, knowing where he could potentially make his move. He's not going to make his move down into turn 1, or is he? No, he's not, because Igarashi has got it very, very firmly there. A superb inside line from his compatriot.
Yeah, that was nicely done, and that just proved me completely wrong. Although I'd like to say yesterday did prove that there was some truth in it. But Igarashi then back into the lead of this race, and Matsuyama still pretty brave to stick it around the outside, however briefly, because yeah, that can be costly if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time and someone else has their own crash and you end up a skittle. But Munanda then at the moment has taken back the lead of this second group. But like you said, I'd hate to see your bedside manner if you're a doctor, but the brutal truth for those guys is that I think they're fight for the Asia Talent Cup overall is going to end in a couple of laps.
Yeah, all depends on what happens over the next 1.5 laps or so. We saw how much it could change for that man there in the middle of your screen, the number 3, Sho Nishimura, coming up to the corner where his race ended yesterday, and he well and truly lost out on the potential championship lead. It was around about here. He touched the rear wheel of a Fritz Munendar and down he went. Tried to blame a Fritz Munendar, of course, but I think he really realised fairly shortly after that it was all his own doing.
Yeah, a bit of a classic that, isn't it? Every rider that goes down, unless they're completely alone on track, there's always a bit of it gesticulating from the gravel, like, why did you do that? And then they watch the replay and like, ah, okay.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Yeah, Nishimura, at least not too much harm done in that crash to him, and he did at least manage to remount and get a couple of points given some of the other dramas that had cracked off yesterday. But at the moment then, he seems to have a little bit more speed and calm than he did yesterday, and it's a good little leading group that we've got.
Yeah, well, at least the Japanese fans will all be very, very pleased. My goodness, Sho Nishimura, that was defending that was best defending I've ever seen in the Asia Talent Cup. Boisri moving up the inside. Nishimura just went, absolutely not, stay where you are, thank you very much. But look at this, Japanese fans, we saw the flags waving in the background there. They've really got something to cheer about. A Japanese trio here at the front of the Asia Talent Cup race as we begin the final lap of the penultimate round. How many penultimates and ultimates can we possibly get into one sentence? Moving up the inside of Nishimura is Matsuyama into that second place. So this is really crucial for the championship, because if Matsuyama, oh, is that a crash in the background? It is. Is that, who is it going down?
I think it's Harrison Voigt, if he was still at the back of that group.
Yes, it must be.
So bad luck for him then, for the Australian. We'll have to see if it does come
up.
Matsuyama,
a twitch for him. A twitch for him. Wow, could that be the race win shout potentially over for him? Oh dear, well, we've seen Voigt. He's up and okay, thankfully. But let's turn our attention back, please, Mr. Director, to the fight at the front as they break down into turn 5. Matsuyama way off the back of this group. Fran, we said this could happen.
Yeah, that's just, you know, a perfect example. Anything can happen. That one moment on the final lap, you give yourself a bit of a mountain to climb. Matsuyama as well, I'm sure that wobble would have been pretty painful for him on the bike. Have to see what kind of distance he can make up. He looks like he's getting a little bit closer already. But at the moment then, we have a 4-rider fight for the 3 places on the podium, and Nishimura is the fastest man out there at the moment.
Sho Nishimura looking very safe through that corner where, of course, this race came to an end yesterday. But Igarashi in the lead. Matsuyama already on the back of this group. You've got this short squirt now before another double apex corner, and then the monstrously long straight, the longest one we have here at Motegi. Break it down into the 90-degree corner. One of the last sort of 3 overtaking spots these guys could have. Although this is the Asia Talent Cup, any pace is an overtaking spot for these lads. It's all about the slipstream now.
Yeah, pretty much. And Matsuyama at least will gain a little from that slipstream being at the back. Like I said, there's a bit of a bigger hole going to get punched in the air. Super impressive stuff from the number 11 already on the back of this group, and who knows what's going to happen ahead of him.
We've got touching down into 90-degree corner, kept it safe there. How did that work? Boisri versus Nishimura. Nishimura into the lead, into this final complex of corners. Matsuyama just off the back of it. Igarashi, look at Igarashi, oh, and he nearly is. Oh, it's Nishimura who exits the final corner in the lead. He's got too much of a lead. He's going to win it. The fight back is on for the championship in 2019, and he takes the win. Who's going to get the podium? It's Boisri from Igarashi. Matsuyama finishes 5th just behind Asman. That's how it's done. My goodness, what a race that was. And Munendar, well, that's a bit of a salvage job. He finishes off the back of the spat out the back Kiyuchi in that one, but he'll be very miffed with himself today.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a disappointing result for the likes of Munendar and Putra, who at least did manage to make it up to the start of that second group, almost minus that impressive wildcard from Kiyuchi. But Nishimura then, that's what we were expecting when we came back from the summer break at Buriram. Here's the results then of that race.
Sho Nishimura takes the win, that's confirmed. 2/10 back was Tachikon Boisri from Shoki Igarashi, his first podium. Boisri's second podium of the year. Sharifudin will be disappointed to miss out on the podium, but he'll get another whack next time around. Takuma Matsuyama, 5th place from Shota Kiyuchi, Afritza Munendar, Adananta Putra, and then Warit Thong Nopakan. Jacob Rollstone, 10th place for him from Kanta Hamada, who is another wild card. Great result yesterday, not quite so awesome today. Herjan Firdaus, 12th from Pioat Petumios, Kasuma Ogo, and Luke Power were the final finishers. Luke Power just finishing outside of the points there, and Harrison Voigt and Abdul Mutakim the only crashers in that race. Hopefully Voigt's all okay, but what does that do to the championship standings? I've already talked about it, but here is the visual on your screens. Takuma Matsuyama maintains the lead, but only with a 12-point advantage going into the final round then from Sho Nishimura. Fritz Munendar 27 points back. He's still mathematically in it, but looking ever less likely. Oh, that's gone rather quickly. I've got plenty more to say about Brasserie and Putra. Unfortunately, they have now missed out on any chance of taking the 2019 Cup, which is a real shame. But with, Jacob Rolston, with that result, moves up a few places, and Shota Kiyuchi up to 18th place overall with his stellar performances so far in Motegi. Fran?
Another home winner, different face today though. So the third place trophy goes to Shoki Igarashi, the man with, I'm sure we'll all agree, the best name on the grid.
Probably, yeah. I mean, mainly because what you can do with it with puns and whatnot. There's Tachikon Brasserie. Of course, these are sorts of trophies. Your first one, especially for Igarashi, you definitely keep that one, don't you?
Most definitely.
A World Championship event, although it's not a World Championship, of course, but in front of the MotoGP paddock, getting that sort of result, very, very special indeed. And hold it high, Sho Nishimura. That win will probably mean more than most.